With the 2024 U.S. presidential election fast approaching, candidates are making their final pitches to the voters, visiting key swing states and rallying their base. But no one expected Donald Trump's latest blunder during a recent visit to Detroit, a city that has become a symbol of resilience and rebirth. In a bizarre speech, Trump slammed Detroit, calling it an example of America's potential decline under Democratic leadership, completely overlooking the city's hard-earned progress. His comments not only came off as tone-deaf but quickly backfired, igniting a fiery response from the city's proud residents. What followed was a PR nightmare for Trump, as Detroiters swiftly clapped back, showcasing their resilience and determination not to be brought down by his insults. Trump's attack wasn't just a slight misstep. It was a strategic disaster in a state that could very well decide the next president of the United States. This is the story of how Donald Trump's arrogant tirade against Detroit backfired spectacularly, and what it says about his inability to connect with real Americans living in the heart of America's comeback city. Donald Trump recently traveled to Michigan, one of the most critical battleground states in any presidential election. His stop in Detroit was expected to be a key moment in his efforts to secure votes in a city with deep political significance. However, instead of praising Detroit's resilience and recovery from bankruptcy, Trump used his platform to launch a bewildering attack on the city, warning that the entire country would end up like Detroit if Kamala Harris or any Democratic leader were elected president. In his speech, Trump seemed to forget that he was, in fact, in Detroit when he trashed the city. He went on to blame Vice President Kamala Harris for San Francisco's decline and accused California Governor Gavin Newsom of ruining the state of California. Then, in a move that baffled both supporters and critics alike, he implied that Detroit was on a downward spiral, comparing its fate to what the rest of the country could expect if Democratic leadership remained in power. "Detroit's a mess," Trump said with characteristic disdain. "If Kamala Harris is your president, our whole country will end up like Detroit." It was a stunning moment, even for a politician known for his frequent controversial statements. The city of Detroit, which has spent years rebuilding its reputation after filing for bankruptcy in 2013, has become a beacon of hope and resilience. Trump's comments were not only factually incorrect, but they deeply offended a city that has worked tirelessly to shake off the stigma of its past financial troubles. Unsurprisingly, the people of Detroit were not about to let Trump's comments slide. The backlash was swift and decisive. Detroit's spirit of defiance and pride shone through as the city came together to set the record straight. Enter the Kamala Harris campaign, which quickly capitalized on Trump's blunder. In response to his remarks, they aired a powerful campaign ad during the Detroit Tigers playoff game on Saturday and the Detroit Lions football game on Sunday. Narrated by Detroit native and actor Courtney B. Vance, the ad was a direct rebuttal to Trump's baseless attack on the city. They said, "We were dead." Detroit waving the white flag. The city filing for bankruptcy. That our best days were behind us. That living here is like living in hell. But you know what we said? We said that we rebuild ourselves. We look out for each other. Got our hands dirty and put in the hard work, Vance's voice rang out, embodying the gritty determination that has defined Detroit's comeback. The line that struck a chord with viewers, however, was when Vance said, "What Donald Trump doesn't understand or care to learn is that when he says our whole country will end up being like Detroit if she's your president, he should be so goddamn lucky." It was a gut punch to Trump's rhetoric and a reminder that Detroit's resilience should be celebrated, not maligned. Kamala Harris, whose approval ratings in Detroit are strong, scored a major victory with the ad. It aired during two of the biggest sports events of the weekend, ensuring that it reached a wide audience. For many Michiganders, especially those in Detroit, it felt like vindication after Trump's attack. Michigan, A swing state Trump can't afford to lose. Michigan, and more specifically Detroit, is an essential battleground in the presidential race. In 2020, Joe Biden won Michigan by a slim margin, thanks in large part to Detroit, where he captured an overwhelming 94% of the vote. The city's support was crucial in flipping Michigan blue, and it's clear that Detroiters haven't forgotten. What makes Trump's comments even more confounding is that Detroit currently has the highest absentee ballot return rate in the entire state of Michigan, running 9% above the statewide rate. In other words, Detroiters are voting early, and they are voting in droves. Attacking the city in such a public and demeaning way seems like a surefire way to alienate voters in a critical region. To make matters worse for Trump, Michigan is not just any swing state. It's a state that could determine the outcome of the entire election. With its 16 electoral votes up for grabs, Michigan is one of the most fiercely contested states in the 2024 election. Winning or losing Michigan could very well make or break Trump's chances of reclaiming the White House. A pattern of forgetfulness. Is Trump losing his grip? While Trump's attack on Detroit might seem like a simple miscalculation, it's part of a broader pattern of forgetfulness and verbal missteps that have raised questions about his fitness to lead. During the same speech in Detroit, Trump made several other confusing and inaccurate statements, including confusing Kamala Harris's role and inaccurately attributing San Francisco's problems solely to her. But this wasn't an isolated incident. In recent weeks, Trump has made several high-profile gaffes that suggest he may not be as sharp as he once was. For example, during a rally in Sioux City, Iowa, Trump confused the city with Sioux Falls, South Dakota. "A big hello to Sioux Falls," Trump exclaimed, before someone in his team corrected him. This kind of slip-up might seem minor, but for someone running for the highest office in the land, these mistakes add up. Perhaps even more concerning was when Trump, while discussing the war in Ukraine, mistakenly referred to Barack Obama as the sitting president. "Putin has no respect for Obama," Trump said, seemingly unaware that Joe Biden is currently president. It was a cringeworthy moment that left many wondering if Trump's mental acuity is in decline. These repeated gaffes have not gone unnoticed by voters, particularly those in swing states like Michigan. It raises the question, if Trump is struggling to keep track of basic facts now, how can he be trusted to lead the country effectively? The reality of Detroit's comeback. The irony in Trump's attack on Detroit is that the city has undergone a remarkable transformation over the past decade. In 2013, Detroit became the largest city in U.S. history to file for bankruptcy, a low point in its storied history. But since then, Detroit has made a comeback that has earned it national recognition. The city's downtown has been revitalized with new businesses, restaurants, and entertainment venues. Tech companies like Google and Microsoft have set up shop in Detroit, bringing jobs and investment to the city. The auto industry, once on the brink of collapse, has roared back to life, with Detroit automakers like Ford and General Motors posting record profits. Detroiters have worked hard to rebuild their city, and they are fiercely proud of their accomplishments. Trump's comments about Detroit being a mess show a profound misunderstanding of what the city has achieved and the grit and determination of its people. Project 2025, a glimpse into Trump's plan. Trump's rhetoric may be shocking, but it's his actual plan for the country, known as Project 2025, that should truly terrify voters. At the heart of this plan is Trump's desire to reinstate an executive order called Schedule F, a move that would fundamentally reshape the federal government. Schedule F, first introduced in October 2020, would allow Trump to reclassify hundreds of thousands of career civil servants as political appointees. This means that Trump could replace these nonpartisan experts with loyalists, giving him unprecedented control over key government agencies like the DOJ, FBI, IRS, and FCC. The implications of this are chilling. If Trump were to win the presidency and implement Schedule F, it would effectively mean the end of an independent civil service. Trump could fill the ranks of government with individuals whose loyalty is not to the Constitution or the law, but to him personally. This would create an environment where Trump could wield unchecked power, with no one to hold him accountable. His disastrous attempt to overturn the 2020 election, which failed in large part because career officials refused to go along with his bogus fraud claims, would be much more likely to succeed under Schedule F. Imagine a scenario where Trump's hand-picked appointees are responsible for validating election results in cities like Detroit, Philadelphia, and Milwaukee, cities that were at the heart of Trump's false claims of election fraud in 2020. With Schedule F in place, Trump's loyalists could easily manipulate the election process to ensure that Democratic votes in these key urban centers are thrown out. This would represent a direct attack on democracy and the principle of free and fair elections. Trump's plan for Project 2025 is nothing short of a blueprint for autocracy. Donald Trump's arrogant attack on Detroit was a disaster on many levels. Not only did it alienate voters in a critical swing state, but it also revealed a dangerous lack of awareness about the realities of modern America. Detroit's comeback is a testament to the hard work and resilience of its people, and Trump's insults were an insult to all they have achieved. But more than that, Trump's comments highlight a disturbing trend in his behavior. His frequent gaffes and slip-ups suggest that he may not be mentally fit to lead the country, and his Project 2025 plan represents a direct threat to the very foundations of American democracy. As Detroiters continue to vote in record numbers, they are sending a clear message to Trump. The comeback city will not be brought down by his divisive rhetoric. The people of Detroit know what it means to fight for their future, and they won't let Trump stand in their way.